British racing colours of F1, Aston Martin is planning to push their limits in the upcoming season with huge upgrades to their AMR23, which is scheduled to be launched on the 13th of February. Even though they entered Formula 1 back in 2020 with the hopes of being a top Formula 1 team, they have added the four-time world champion with the hopes of doing more great things. However, its challengers were never capable of providing sufficient performance to achieve what they have planned. Aston Martin's last year campaign showed a slight improvement by jumping from 9th to 7th in the Constructors' Championship. Unfortunately, its leading driver Sebastian Vettel decided to retire at the end of the season, putting the underperforming Aston Martin in more problems. Despite the current form of the team, the Aston Martin administration added a number of experienced people to their squad from the rival teams. So, the Silverstone-based squad is now very busy in readying their AMR23 Challenger, which is expected to use for the upcoming season. Before we proceed, hit the subscribe button and smash the bell icon for more exciting updates. This year's AMR23 Challenger is designed and developed under the guidance of the ex-aerodynamic chief of the Red Bull team, Dan Fallows, who joined the squad in last April. In addition, the aerodynamic sector of the car is developed by Eric Blandin, who worked with Mercedes previously. According to Fallow, this year's Aston Martin car will represent a future step despite its huge similarities to the previous year's car by appearance. "I mean, there is a limit to what we can do with the current rules," he said when asked if it will look visibly different. "I know that new cars always have to pass my test of my children, so if I put them in front of my children and they say they look different, then they look different. They always say they all look the same, Daddy. But within the envelope of the rules that we have, then yes, there are significant differences on the AMR23. However, they focused much on the aerodynamic performance of the car, targeting the enhancement of the downforce of the car. So, it is crucial to handle the aerodynamic segment of the car carefully, as development ends up with porpoising, which becomes a headache for designers all over the past season. Aston Martin is trying to be aggressive with its 2023 Formula 1 car as it bids to move up with the order. Confidence of the team has increased heavily with the improvement they experienced in the previous season, and everyone in the squad is so energetic to push the Aston Martin name to the top of the standings. Its biggest blow to the upcoming season was the loss of the service of four-time world champion Sebastian Vettel, which is very critical in the car development process. However, Aston Martin was able to move experienced two-time world champion Fernando Alonso from Enstone to Silverstone as the replacement of Vettel. Even in his 40s, Fernando Alonso is still active in the Formula 1 Championship with the hope of winning his third driver's title. He first tried with McLaren, then it failed and moved to his former team Renault. But it was not also a successful attempt as Alpine is still struggling with the slowest engine type of the grid. This move is critical for Alonso. It may be the last chance for the Spaniard to try for his dream of winning the third title. There were issues between the team's owner's son, Lance Stroll, and Vettel regarding the performance of the car, and it's interesting to see how the Stroll family deals with Alonso, who is famous as an arrogant character by nature in the past. He is not a calm figure like Vettel, and let's hope that Alonso-Stroll's partnership will be something that is long-lasting. In an interview published on the Aston Martin's website, its head of aerodynamics, Blandin, said, "We took all our learnings from last year's car and applied them to this year's car. So much of the AMR23 is new. It's completely different from the AMR22. We've changed more than 90% of the parts and more than 95% of the aerodynamic surfaces are different." At the Hungarian Grand Prix last year, Aston Martin came up with an innovative rear wing design by extending the permitted curvature. "You took all our learnings from last year's car and applied them to this year's car. However, it is outlawed under new regulations. So much of the AMR23 is new, it's completely different from the AMR22. We've changed more than 90% of the parts and more than 95% of the aerodynamic surfaces are different," Blandin said further. Last year, F1 introduced a budget cap for all the teams with the aim of creating fair play for all the teams. This is a huge blow for big teams like Mercedes, Ferrari, and Red Bull. Aston Martin is targeting to revival this season with their new AMR23, which is scheduled to be launched on 13th of February. With an experienced group of people, AMR23 will surely show considerable improvement. But the question is, whether the AMR23 has the potential to challenge the top three in the standings, as Mercedes Mercedes, Ferrari, and Red Bull. What do you think? Do you expect that Aston Martin's AMR23 has the potential to challenge rival teams at the top? Share your thoughts in the comments section below. Thank you very much for watching the video. If you enjoyed the video, subscribe to the channel to get more exciting Formula 1 news. See you guys in the next video. Goodbye.